LP2000 right back at you with another video. Yes, welcome back. Welcome back to Legend Chambers Kaiju Reviews on behalf of Summit Kaiju, on behalf of Collect All Monsters. And I'm back again with another video. And I'm not doing a figure review per se. I'm doing another basically top 10 list. Or ranking list, I should say. I haven't done one of these in a long time. Now, I've done a few before. I've done my top 10 favorite Godzilla movies, my top 10 favorite X-Plus figures, my top 10 favorite Rick Boy exclusive X-Plus figures, my top 10 favorite Kaiju villains. But today, I'm ranking my entire X-Plus Gigantic Series figure collection. Yes. I'm ranking them from my least favorite to my most favorite. And I'm doing this because really this is more so in response to Mr. Fresh Vinyl himself, Richard Iso. Yes, he did a video ranking his top favorite, or at least his favorite, or his ranking of his Gigantic Series figures in his collection. And he did it earlier this year. And after seeing that video, it got my mind to wondering and think, you know what, I should probably do the same. Now, mind you, I did an X-Plus Gigantic Series figure discussion, live stream discussion, late last year, 2019. In fact, it was the last live stream I did that year. And one of the questions, because you know in my live streams, I always ask these rapid fire questions, these kind of hard rapid fire questions. And I actually detailed there my ranking of my least favorite to my most favorite Gigantic Series figures. Now this is before Mechagodzilla was announced, or at least before he came out, I should say. So that list is kind of different right now. And plus, I really didn't go into detail, in-depth detail on why this figure is in this spot, why this figure is in that spot. So that's the purpose of this discussion for today. And it's really been fun, really ranking these figures and stuff like that. Really taking the time and just looking at these figures and just putting them in their proper order. Now, mind you, this is from my perspective. It's from my opinion. Of course, everybody's criteria is going to be different when it comes to ranking these figures, if you have them or if you don't have them. But this is my ranking of these figures. And let me just say this, ladies and gentlemen, these figures are awesome. So even if some may fall on the lower end of the spectrum, doesn't mean they're like, you know, like mediocre figures. I think they're all great figures. And I think they're all top contenders of why this one could be your favorite or that one could be your favorite. It's really all subjective. Now, before we go into this, I'm just doing the Godzilla figures. You see what I'm saying? Now, of course, X-Plus have done other Gigantic Series figures before. They've done Dragon Ball Z, but I don't really collect them, quite frankly. They have done a few Ultraman, which I do have. I do have two Gigantic Series Ultraman figures. The original Ultraman, 1966, and Ultra 7. And I have the Gigantic Series Megazord, the Power Rangers Megazord, or Diusion. Now, those figures that I do have in my collection of the Ultraman and the Megazord, they're not going to be included in this discussion. It's just strictly the Godzilla figures and Mechagodzilla. You see what I'm saying? So this should make for a fun discussion. Once again, everybody's criteria of what should be the best or what should be the least favorite or whatever is different. But in the meantime, these are my rankings from my least favorite to my most favorite of the X-Plus Gigantic Series figures. So let's go with spot number 10. Okay, folks, here we are with the number 10 spot, and yeah, here is number 10, the X-Plus Gigantic Series Yuji Sakai Model Collection of the 1999/2000 Godzilla Rick Boy Edition. And once again, just because this is my least favorite, or at least is at the bottom of this list, of this ranking, I should say, doesn't mean to suggest that it's a mediocre figure. Far from it. It is a great figure. But for me, there are a couple of reasons why it is at the bottom of the list. First and foremost, I have to admit, even though I enjoy this figure, I really do enjoy this figure, I was never really a big fan of the maquette design of Godzilla 2000. Quite frankly, now had this been more of the suit accurate version, it might be higher up on my list, because between the two versions, I love the suit accurate version of Godzilla 2000 more, and wasn't really a big fan of the maquette design, which is what they chose here for this figure release. And number two, it is the smallest of the Gigantics. And that does kind of work against it, in my opinion. Now, when they first brought out the Gigantic Series, when they had officially announced it, right, back in 2013, they brought out the GMK Godzilla, right, which was a great figure. And a big figure, you see what I'm saying? But then they came forth after that with the 95, right? And he was bigger. He was bigger than the GMK, right? So when they announced the Godzilla 2000, if you saw the trend between the GMK and the Burning Godzilla, we kind of thought that at that time that maybe 2000 was going to be a little bit bigger, because we had no idea how big the 2000 was going to be, or 99, I should say. And when he came out, he was smaller than the 95. And that kind of turned me off a little bit. And some people actually will argue that this is kind of like an oversized 30 centimeter figure, which I can see, even though it's an official Gigantic Series figure. But I have to say, I initially passed on this figure. You see what I'm saying? My wife Sandra, because she's a collector just like I am. She was in love with this design. She was like, okay, if you don't want it, I want one. So I ended up buying one for her birthday, right? In September of, I believe, was 2015 when this figure came out. I believe 2015. And when I saw it in person, I was like, oh yeah, I gotta have one for myself. So she ended up getting me the Rick for Christmas. Because that's what we do. That's what we do. That's what a marriage filled with kaiju fans and collectors would do for each other, quite frankly. But still, nonetheless, even though those two reasons, as far as like being the smallest of the Gigantics and me not being a big fan of the maquette design of Godzilla 2000 work against it, it is still a great figure, but that's why it earns the bottom spot at number 10 of my Gigantic Series figures ranking. So number 10, the X-Plus Gigantic Series Godzilla 2000 Rick Exclusive Edition of the Yuji Sakai Model Collection. So let's go with spot number 9. Okay, folks, here we are with spot number 9, and yeah, we go from one Yuji Sakai Model Collection Gigantic to the other one that is in the Gigantic Series. And yes, we're talking about the X-Plus Gigantic Series Yuji Sakai Model Collection, the 1954 Godzilla. Yes, the granddaddy of them all. And it's kind of funny that when it comes to Sakai pieces, because we know about Sakai, right? They have the extra crisp detail on these sculpts and blah, blah, blah. And ironically, these two Sakais will occupy like the bottom half of the my ranking here when it comes to the Gigantic Series figures. Now, don't get me wrong. Like the 2000, the 54 is also an awesome figure. You see what I'm saying? The drawback with the 54, in my opinion, is that once again, when we think about Sakai pieces, right, we associate a certain level of quality when it comes to these pieces. You see what I'm saying? And unfortunately, when it comes to the Gigantic 54 here, the sculpt is great, but the detail on it is not as crisp as you will find on a 30 centimeter regular Sakai. You see what I'm saying? And as a matter of fact, ironically, the 2000 has more of a crisp detail than the 54. You see what I'm saying? So in some respects, the 1999/2000 is more superior in terms of the detail, the extra detail that's on that figure versus this one. You see what I'm saying? But the crisp detail that we would think would be associated with Sakai pieces is not apparent here on the 54, and that was really unfortunate, especially for the price that this thing was going for at the time. It was really going for a high price. For a while, it was like before the Gigantic Shin in 2019 came out, this was actually the most expensive Sakai, at least the most expensive Gigantic Series figure that was ever produced. And to me, because of the bland detail of this figure, the cost didn't justify what we got, in my opinion. And the promotional pictures painted a different picture of what this figure was going to look like, and it ended up being a different story once we got it in our hands. But I do have to say, despite its flaws, despite its shortcomings, despite my personal issues with it, it is still an awesome figure, and I still recommend it for anybody who does want to go after it, even though he's kind of rare and very expensive at this point. But it's just unfortunate that the what we got with the 30 centimeter Sakai 54 is what we should have gotten with the Gigantic, and that's very unfortunate. But that's why he earns the designation at spot number 9. Now, had the detail been a lot more crisp, that he might be higher up, kind of like the 2000, but unfortunately, he's at spot number 9. The X-Plus Gigantic Series Yuji Sakai Modeling Collection of the 1954 Godzilla. So now let's go with spot number 8. And here we are, folks, with spot number 8. And yeah, spot number 8 is occupied by the X-Plus Gigantic Series exclusive edition of the 2019 Godzilla. The legendary Godzilla is based off its appearance in the super cool legendary Godzilla film, Godzilla King of the Monsters. Woo! And we go from one Godzilla King of the Monsters with the 54 to the other King of the Monsters in the 2019. And once again, a lot of folks probably think this guy should be higher, you know, whatever. As I mentioned earlier before we got things started here, that once again, just from my perspective, not everybody's going to agree on the same thing, and that's fine. But even though this is such a great figure, it is a great figure. You see what I'm saying? Once again, this was another one that I initially was going to pass on. But once again, my beautiful wife, Sandra, got to give all props to her. She really was the tipping point for me wanting to get this guy my daggone self, quite frankly. Because she got the standard. But after me seeing pictures of the Rick, I was like, you know what? I wouldn't mind having that. And ironically, as with the 2000 that you heard earlier, like that was my Christmas gift of that year, right? This was my Christmas gift of 2019, and it's a great Christmas gift, and a great gigantic. Even though the design, even though I enjoy the films, the design is not in my top 10 of favorite Godzilla designs, which is one of the reasons why this plays into why it is in spot number 8. But it's still a great gigantic nonetheless. But there are just 7 more gigantic series figures I love more than him. So let's go with that spot number 7 right now. But until then, spot number 8 belongs to the X-Plus Gigantic Series exclusive edition of the 2019 Godzilla. So now let's go with spot number 7. Okay, folks, here we are with spot number 7. Lucky number 7, or unlucky, depending on how you look at it. And yes, the number 7 spot belongs to the X-Plus Gigantic Series Standard Edition of Shin Godzilla. Woo! Such a great figure. Such an awesome figure. Yes. Once again, we went from a new school Godzilla with spot number 8 with the 2019 Godzilla. Now we're with another new school version of Godzilla in the 2017 release of the 2016 Godzilla, or Shin Godzilla. You see what I'm saying? Once again, a great figure. And once again, like the 2019, even though I enjoyed the movie Shin, the design is not really up there with me, quite frankly. But this was a must-have for me. You see what I'm saying? And this is actually, for me personally, this is the barometer of what I maintain my purchase limits as far as like the way I buy stuff, if that makes any sense. Basically what that means is that this guy basically was the most expensive one-time purchase of a kaiju figure or collectible that I've ever made. And ever since then, whenever there's like a new figure that comes out that's on the expensive side, I hold it up to the Shin Godzilla here. So if the figure comes in more or is more expensive than the gigantic Shin here, I'm not going to get it. Because this guy, boy, this guy almost broke a lot of our bank accounts. Because this guy, oh my God, I think this is the most expensive gigantic series figure that they ever made. I think the 2019 comes in just a little bit below it, you see what I'm saying? But because of his tail was basically the main reason why this was so expensive, especially shipping wise, you see what I'm saying? To my door, I paid basically $750 for this, you see what I'm saying? Whereas in 2019, I paid like maybe $675. It's not much, but still, in comparison to this one, good God Almighty, they're both well up there, you see what I'm saying? But once again, just because I don't really particularly have this in my top 10 favorite of the Godzilla designs as well as the movie, doesn't mean that I should deny myself of a quality piece. And this is such a quality piece, and that's why this is such an awesome addition to the X-Plus Gigantic Series, and that's why it belongs in spot number 7. The X-Plus Gigantic Series Standard Edition of the 4th form of Shin Godzilla. So now let's go with spot number 6. are, ladies and gentlemen, with spot number 6. And everybody knows this guy. Everybody loves this guy. Yes, the X-Plus Gigantic Series Standard Edition of the King Goji, the 1962 Godzilla, based off probably the most popular film in the franchise itself, King Kong versus Godzilla. And once again, this is such an awesome figure. It really is. I feel bad, quite frankly, that it's not in my top 5, because even though I do rag on the 62, that's when people try to make it more superior to the 64, try to claim it's more superior to the 64. That's when I rag on the 62. But through it all, I am a huge fan of the 62. I love the King Goji. It's a staple of my childhood. King Kong vs. Godzilla was a staple of my childhood, just like I'm sure it was a staple of a lot of other people's childhoods. So the design alone has a huge nostalgia factor for me. And this is such an awesome rendition of the King Goji. Now, it might be a little bit higher. The one thing that I wish this figure could have been sculpted a little bit different. I don't really like how he's kind of like hunched over just a little bit, and he kind of gives off a little height that way. Where he was more upright, he could be really like around the 19-20 inches mark. But by him being hunched over a little bit, and there's like a certain angle that he doesn't look good in my opinion, because he is hunched over. He kind of runs in like the 16-17 inches high mark. He's still a big figure. Don't get that twisted. Just because he's not as tall as like the 89 or maybe Mechagodzilla does not mean that this guy is not a big figure. He makes up for that in his mass and his underbody, and just the overall just sheer mass of the figure, which replicates the sheer mass of the suit, because the suit was in some respects kind of a baggy suit and a big suit. And this figure of the Gigantic Series King Goji really replicates that to an awesome degree. Yes, yes, yes. So once again, such an awesome figure, but it comes in spot number 6. Once again, I do feel bad that he didn't break the top 5. But there are 5 more figures that I enjoy more than him, so let's get to that right now. But until then, but still, ladies and gentlemen, I give to you spot number 6, the X-Plus Gigantic Series King Goji, or the 1962 Godzilla, based off his appearance in the iconic King Kong vs. Godzilla. So now let's find out who occupies spot number 5. Okay, folks, here we are. We're getting down to the nitty gritty here, and now we're breaking the top 5. And yeah, here we are with the number 5 spot belonging to the X-Plus Gigantic Series Godzilla 2001, or the GMK Godzilla. Please don't tell Sandra that this didn't make the number 1 spot. I don't want to sleep on the couch tonight. But still, it's in the top 5, so hey, you know, that's something. But seriously, don't tell Sandra. I don't want to sleep on the couch tonight. No, but seriously, this is such a great figure. It's such a great figure, and this is the one that started the line. Now, actually, this is actually the reissue version with the darker paint scheme and the blue dorsal plates, the translucent blue dorsal plates. And actually, this is like the only Gigantic Series figure I have in my collection where I double dip currently at the moment. Now, I did double dip on a few of them. I have double dip on the 95. I double dipped on the 62. I think that's it. And I've since sold those figures of the extra copies of the 95 and 62, but I couldn't bring myself to sell this. You see what I'm saying? Even though I do have the original Gigantic GMK Godzilla, you know, with the basically just the traditional Godzilla colors with the dark charcoal gray and white, bone white dorsal plates or whatever. But between the two, I actually like this one more, so that's why I'm using this as a representative here. But still, it does belong in this awesome spot of number 5. And actually, you know what? For a while, when I had my ranking, I actually had the 62 in this spot, number 5, and the GMK behind him. But after just really being associated with these figures and just looking at them and being around them, I just love this one more. And in my opinion, this one actually has the best sculpt of all the Gigantic Series figures. And I will argue this probably is the best looking sculpt out of every X-Plus figure. This is such an awesome sculpt of the GMK Godzilla, even though that's not what we got in the film. But this makes me wish that we should have got this in the film. Quite frankly, he looks more animalistic and just more evil and demonic, and just in this structure right here. He was already demonic and evil and destructive in the film, but can you imagine if he was like this in the film kind of makes you wonder. But at the same time, this is such an awesome figure. Yes, it is. It really set the tone for the Gigantic series and what was to follow. But you got to start with something awesome somewhere, and they did just that with this awesome figure here. Yes, spot number 5, belonging to the X-Plus Gigantic Series GMK Godzilla. So let's find out who's occupied spot number 4. Okay, folks, here we are, spot number 4. Yes, and actually, I feel so bad. You know, I felt bad that the King Goji didn't break the top 5, and I feel bad that this guy didn't break the top 3. But still, an awesome figure nonetheless. The X-Plus Gigantic Series Burning Godzilla, the first edition of the Burning Godzilla Gigantic Series figure that the X-Plus has done. They have done a few of these figures before. They have done, since then I should say, they've done the San Diego Comic-Con one where the tail is permanently attached to the figure and it comes with brighter orange patches on Godzilla himself. They made a Rick exclusive Frozen edition where he has frozen patches on his body, scattered on his body, and it came with the mini Super X3. I think they also came with, they also brought for, an actual kit where you can actually build the kit yourself. If you're a modeler or a painter or a builder or whatever, you can actually build it, paint it, and you can build and paint this kit, just like the figure. But to me, out of all of them, this is the best one. I think this is the best one that captures just the essence of the Burning Godzilla. And quite frankly, this was actually the first Godzilla figure from the Gigantic series I ever bought, right? And you would think by me being a huge GMK fan that I would have went for the GMK first. But actually, when I first saw the GMK, I wasn't too impressed with it, even though I loved it. But still, at the time, I wasn't too impressed with it. Once again, it took Sandra really for me to come around on that figure. So actually, this was the first. This was the first Gigantic series figure that I ever bought for myself, and I've been hooked ever since. This is basically the main reason why I became a huge Gigantic series fan, and it's the main reason why that is my preferred line of figures. It's my favorite line of figures from X-Plus, the Gigantic series. And this is such an awesome rendition of the Burning Godzilla. Even though it's kind of stylized in certain respects, people will say it's completely stylized. But there are a few suit accurate things about this figure. I don't want to go back and forth with that debate because, good Lord, we'll be here for like 10 hours. But I will argue that it's basically more so suit accurate than stylized. I'm not trying to say that the figure is, 100% suit accurate, because it really isn't. But I'm not going to sit here and say that it's not suit accurate either, because in some respects, in my opinion, it is suit accurate. It just depends on how you look at it. But yeah, this is such an awesome figure of the Gigantic Burning Godzilla. And as I mentioned before in other videos, I have never been a fan of the actual suit itself. I'm still not, quite frankly. I like it. It's a nice suit, and I can see how it could be somebody else's favorite, or everybody else's favorite to a certain degree. But I was never really a big fan of the Burning Godzilla look until I got this figure. Ever since then, I've been more of a fan of the Burning Godzilla suit. And that's a testament how great X-Plus is, where you can make a certain kaiju product and make you become more of a fan of its on-screen counterpart. I think that's a good thing. But once again, I feel so bad, big guy, that you're not in the top 3, but still you're in the top 5. You're in the top 5, so that's something. You know what I'm saying? You're not the 54 or you're not the 2000, whatever. But still, I feel bad. I really feel bad. But once again, there are 3 more figures I enjoy a little bit more than him. And this was hard, really, coming up with the top 5 or ranking the top 5. And as you can see, as we move forward from here, it gets harder and harder as we go along here. But certain sacrifices have to be made. And I hate to make this sacrifice for the Burning Godzilla, but still, top 5 is still a good spot. So here is spot number 4, the X-Plus Gigantic Series Standard Edition of the 1995 Burning Godzilla. So let's find out who occupies spot number 3. Okay, folks, here we are. Spot number 3, and yes, we have the new kid on the block, the newest edition at the time of this recording of the X-Plus Gigantic Series. I give to you the Rick exclusive edition of the 1974 Showa Mecha Godzilla. Woo! Oh my God, I just got this guy like a month and a half ago, and he's still awesome. And once again, when I got this figure in my possession, he immediately became in my top 3 of X-Plus Gigantic Series figures. You know what I'm saying? This is such an awesome figure. And this was a home run, and this is a home run. And I really feel bad for a lot of folks at the time of this recording that doesn't have theirs because of what's going on in Japan with the shipping situation. Like if you order yours from Hobby Search, you have to wait till EMS opens back up again before you can get yours. But I implore you, ladies and gentlemen, switch over to DHL. Pay that extra money so you can get this guy sooner rather than later, because he is worth it. Now I understand if you don't want to do that, but still, I'm sorry. I would have bit the bullet a long time ago and got this guy. Cause trust me, if you can hear the sound of my voice, he is worth it. He is absolutely worth it. And once again, this was such a home run. And aside from him being an awesome figure, it just opens the door for other non-Godzilla figures in the Gigantic Series to make their appearance. You know, whether it's Gigan, whether it could be the Gargantuas, Damagen, a MonsterVerse King Kong, or anything like that. Once again, this guy is such an important piece, and it is an impressive piece. It is awesome. And once again, when I first laid eyes on this guy, when I first broke him out the box, he immediately became in my top 3 of my favorites of X-Plus Gigantic Series figures. So that's why he occupies spot number 3. The X-Plus Gigantic Series exclusive edition of the 1974 Mecha Godzilla. So yeah, we're down to 2 more. We're down to 2 more. I think you kind of know where we're going with this. So let's find out who occupies spot number 2. Okay, folks, here we are with spot number 2, and yeah, I love this guy too. Basically, my most favorite figure acquisition of last year, of 2019. I give to you the X-Plus Gigantic Series Standard Edition of the 1989 Godzilla, based off, man, probably one of the most ambitious Godzilla films of all time. And it falls at number 7 on my top 10 favorite Godzilla films list. Godzilla's Biollante, once again, a great, awesome figure. Yes. And once again, this guy is so amazing. He really is. And he is the tallest of the Gigantic Series figures. He runs in like around 20 inches and I think a quarter, I believe. So he's taller than Shin Godzilla. He's taller than the 2019 Godzilla. He's taller than Mecha Godzilla. Not by much, but he's still taller. This guy is taller than every other Gigantic Series figure in the line. And just when you think that the Gigantic Series figures couldn't get bigger, you know, with the Shin in 2019, now they go taller with the 89 here. Oh my God, man, this is such an awesome figure. It really is. Not to mention that the 89 Godzilla, as well as the 91, more so the 91, this is like one of my most favorite Godzilla designs of all time. And X-Plus just captured it perfectly in this figure. I don't see anything wrong with this figure. None whatsoever. Even the Rick that came with the alternate jaw where you can have his mouth closed and the translucent dorsal plates that kind of glow in the dark. That was a great Rick option, but on its own, even the standard is awesome. From the dorsal plates, the color of the dorsal plates, just the overall sheer scope of this guy is awesome. I mentioned earlier that we got 2 Yuji Sakai pieces in the Gigantic Series figure line, right? Where X-Plus basically used a Yuji Sakai sculpt for their Gigantic Series figures. But every single one besides those 2 were sculpted by Kabitsuya, and I have to say they have done a great job with the sculpting of these original Gigantics, with the 89, the 62, Shin, Burning Godzilla, the GMK. Oh my God, they have done a great job, and they have done a phenomenal job with this guy right here. And by the way I'm glowing about this figure, you would think he would be number 1, but there's only one more Godzilla Gigantic Series figure that I love more than him, and I think you know who it is. So without further ado, even though this guy occupies spot number 2, the X-Plus Gigantic Series Godzilla 1989 Standard Edition, let's find out who occupies spot number 1. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, my most favorite Gigantic Series figure courtesy of X-Plus is this guy right here. ladies and gentlemen, yes. I mean, seriously, was it ever in doubt who I was going to pick as my favorite X-Plus Gigantic Series figure? You know what I'm saying? Yes, yes, yes. The 1964 Rick exclusive edition of Godzilla from my most favorite Godzilla film, from Mothra vs. Godzilla. And I know a lot of folks are saying, you're just picking that because it's your favorite movie. You're just picking that because it's your favorite design. Yeah? Yep. Because once again, what I may feel is a great thing, you may not feel the same way, and vice versa. What you may feel is great, I may not find it to be great. But that's a good thing about having differences of opinions. You know what I'm saying? I'm all for that. I'm all for difference of opinions. I'm all for diversity. And for me, this figure right here is my most favorite Godzilla figure from the Gigantic series. Now, I'm not trying to say it's perfect. I never did say it was perfect. Now, that's something I will admit to. It is not perfect. And there was such high hopes for this guy when it came out in 2018. And it didn't rub a lot of people the right way, unfortunately. And I feel really bad about that, quite frankly, where this guy has somewhat of a mixed bag, where we thought going in that it was going to be the greatest figure ever. And in some respects, it really isn't. It just depends on your perspective. I think the whole hiccup, really this figure, biggest reason why this figure is a misfire is the whole jaw situation. I think everything else on the figure is fine. I love the dynamic pose of it, where he's like in a walking position. His tail is curved. The dorsal plates, especially the Rick version of this figure, the dorsal plates are looking awesome here. But it's the jaw. It's just the lower jaw that really rubbed people the wrong way. Where we thought that, you know, because the Rick exclusive edition of this figure not only comes with translucent blue dorsal plates, but with an alternate jaw where you can interchange it to have him in an open roaring look or in a closed mouth look. And a lot of people went for the Rick because they love more so the closed mouth look of this Godzilla than anything else. But when in some figures, when you apply the closed mouth jaw or option, his jaw wasn't fully closed, and that really just messed up a lot of people. And I can definitely understand that. And I would go in the opposite direction. When you apply the open mouth option where he's roaring, sometimes the jaws were just too wide. They were just too big, where his mouth kind of came across like the fourth form of Shin. You know how his mouth just goes like real wide and open? It kind of had this effect going on here with the Gigantic Series version of the 64. And I think that was really the main reason, aside from the fact that some people think his hands are too small, and that's fine. But I think the biggest reason, the biggest hiccup, was just the whole jaw situation. But through it all, I closed mine shut. You know, it sucks that I had to do that, but at the same time, I think I did a good job making it a closed mouth effect. But still, through it all, because I'm a ride or die 64 fan or mark or fanboy or whatever you want to call it, even though there's some shortcomings with this figure that a lot of people will point to me, there's a lot to love. There's a lot to love here with the X-Plus Gigantic Series Godzilla 1964, and I will continue to praise it until I ain't got no more breath in my lungs. But that's why he occupies spot number 1. Yes, my most favorite Gigantic Series figure from X-Plus, the Rick exclusive 1964 Godzilla. And that's my ranking of my least favorite to my most favorite. Now, like I said, ladies and gentlemen, earlier, just because the 2000 or the 54 or the 2019 or Shin are on the bottom half of my favorites doesn't mean that I don't love them any less. They are all great figures, trust me. Considering how much these things cost, you have to love them to invest this type of money into these type of figures. But once again, just because they're on the bottom half doesn't mean I don't really care for them or whatever. It's just that I had to put them in a certain order. And this was hard. Like, it really got hard when I got to the number 5 mark. Because I wanted to put the King Goji higher. I wanted to put the 95 higher, the GMK higher. But I just love, you know, the top 3 more. 64, 89, and Mecha Godzilla, you know. And once they bring out more Gigantic Series figures, maybe this list will change. But until then, this is my ranking. And why don't you pipe down in the comment section, tell me your ranking, whether you got these figures or not, or whatever. Just pipe down in the comment section and let me know your thoughts about the ranking. Was I wrong? Did I go overboard with the 64? Do you agree with it? Do you not agree with it? I am looking forward to hearing what y'all have to say. But until then, that's my ranking of the X-Plus Gigantic Series figures. They're all awesome. I can understand why a case can be made why every single one of them can be your favorite, whereas the 2000, Shin, 54, 64, 89, Mecha Godzilla, Burning Godzilla, GMK, or whatever. A case can be made for every single one of them. Now, as far as the future of the Gigantic Series, at the time of this recording, as I mentioned earlier, Mechagodzilla was pretty much the latest one that we have gotten thus far. And the one that I think I know is coming next, they're making 2019 Godzilla. They're reissuing it, but they're doing it in the nuclear fire version, you know, whatever. And I think he's coming out in December. So I really don't see them coming out with any other Gigantics in between now and then. You know what I'm saying? So I think maybe the newest Gigantic Series figures may not come until next year, you know, where we get something new. Now, I know, like I said, we got the Fire Burning Godzilla 2019 coming. There's been teasers of Gigan coming in the Gigantic Series. Don't forget, next year marks what? The 50th, the 30th, and the 20th anniversary of 3 awesome Godzilla films. The 50th anniversary of Godzilla vs. Hedra, the 30th anniversary of Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah, and the 20th anniversary of GMK. So maybe we might get something from the Gigantic Series involving those figures. Maybe a Gigantic Hedra. Maybe they may retool the 89 into the 91. Or maybe we may get an upright GMK Gigantic. Either way, I'm looking forward to what we may be getting in terms of the X-Plus Gigantic Series. But until then, this will do me. So I hope y'all enjoyed this video, my discussion of my ranking of the X-Plus Gigantic Series figures. Once again, this was based off Richard Iso's video. Please check out his video. It is awesome. And as I'm thinking about it now, I think our list is pretty much inverted because he had the 64 like on the bottom half and I got him at the top. But he had Shin in his favorite, and Shin is like at the bottom half of mine. So once again, as I mentioned earlier, it's all subjective. You know what I'm saying? But I'm dying to hear from y'all, to hear what y'all think. What is your personal ranking of the X-Plus Gigantic Series? Please pop down in the comment section and let me know. Until then, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. A lot of stuff coming here on the channel with figure reviews, book reviews, the whole 9 yards. Our newest episode of Collect All Monsters is going down next week, August 15th, 2020, where we're covering nothing but news because there's been a lot of figure collectible news dropping lately on social media or whatever. So that's going to be basically a news-heavy episode, so we hope to see you there. But once again, the X-Plus Gigantic Series, my personal ranking, this guy's the top. But once again, all due respect to the other ones, but they're awesome. They are all awesome. And that's pretty much it for my video here. So thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. And I will see y'all again on the next figure and movie review. All right? Y'all take it easy.